Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It's Cape Town, 21st of June, 2022. I'm starting a new series of videos on my blog, on my YouTube channel, which is maybe I could say a continuation of uh, the paradigm shift that is needed, that is appealed for, or that has been researched and by Professor Ajam, and I will now take it on to the next level. And what I'm going to do is to actually read from the August articles that I've been asked to write for the Education Watch feature article every Thursday. I must say it was a fascinating opportunity that I was asked to do. And the little story that goes with this is just incredible. There was a poster in the August in the August building during the water crisis in the Western Cape that stated that the the local government is being taken to court in terms of the water crisis. And I wanted to know who is taking the local government to court. And then I went inside to go and buy the Argus because the article heading was actually on the poster. And then they told me, no, it's not published yet. It's going to be in the late final. But you can go up to the publishing area where you can ask about the article. And so the security guards took me up there, and there was this gentleman. I could see the gentleman walking around, and he looks like very important. And the security guard brought me to him and said to me, and said to him that this man wants to know who wrote the article that is on the poster that the local government is being taken to court in terms of the water crisis. So the gentleman asked me, why do you want to know? And I said, I don't want to assassinate the writer. I just want to know who. And so he said, well, the national government is taking the local government to court on the water crisis issue. Okay, fine. I was happy with that. The article will still be published, and then on my way out, I looked at all the writers, and I said to this gentleman, I said to this gentleman, excuse me, sir, I have done a 28-year research on education, and I've tested it and I've practiced it, etc. Can you perhaps send a reporter to me to perhaps follow this particular paradigm shift that I've been working on for so many years? And he looked at me and said, I think it's 800 words or 1,800 words. 800 words for the opinion section. I said, okay, he didn't tell me the opinion. He just says, write me an article and then you send it to this email. So he wrote it down on the email and this email address. And then I discovered this man was actually the editor of the Argus, the Cape Argus. And then he said to me, you then write the article and send it to me. It has to be so many words, and then we'll have a look at it. So okay, I was like, no, I haven't had that opportunity. So I said, okay, I'll see, but I think what I'll do is I'll write 2 articles, and then maybe you can see, I'll write 1 article, and then I'll write the article and see what happens. So that was, I think, the Thursday or the Friday. Saturday, my son-in-law has just taught me how to use my phone and to type onto the notes and then send it onto my email. I didn't know how to do that. So on Saturday, I then wrote the article on my phone and then sent it onto the email straight to the editor. Sunday, he sent me an email saying, we received the article. It's now in the queue. Now, I didn't know that there are people who actually write to the Argus and hope that the article will be published, and they have a queue of articles that they can choose from in order to publish. And Okay, about 2 days later, which is Tuesday, I get a phone call from the editor. We're going to publish your article on Wednesday, and I need 2 photos. Oh my goodness! I was, what? So I asked my daughter to take a photo of me and take a photo of the book that I had written, and because I was actually talking about this one book that I wrote that covers all the subjects and all the grades simultaneously in the same book. In other words, one textbook for all grades. That was my article about. So I have a photo taken, and lo and behold, the next day it was published under the opinion page. I suppose he must have had quite a response to this particular article, because a week later or 2 weeks later, I was called to come down to the editorial board of the Argus, or editorial section of the Argus, and I was interviewed by the editor and a sub-editor, etc. And they asked me if I would like to start a feature article called Education Watch, because they're basically thinking about a particular feature article, and if I'm prepared to write the article. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is something like really unexpected. I said to them, okay, look, let me write 2 articles, and then if I do write the article and you publish, you do have one in waiting, then you don't have to wait for me, because it's a weekly kind of feature article. And I then wrote, I asked him to give me about, I think, a month or so, and just to get my mind around this new opportunity. And then I started writing, and I went on writing for 55 weeks, around 55 weeks, every week, 1,800 words, I think, yes. And it was a fascinating experience. What I'm hoping to do for you now is to share those articles, because there are people who don't buy the Argus, and so they don't know about this. So there's a lot of articles, research papers, there are YouTube videos, all sorts of TikTok features that are speaking about the problems in education, and big articles, and there's research being done. But they are not able, so far, they haven't been able to pinpoint what is the real problem, because there are certain things that people just accept that this should be that way. And so not realizing that those are the underlying features of the education that is crashing it, that is causing the problems. So I'm going to share with you my articles, read the articles on from the Argus and the date it was published. And you can actually go on IOL, some of the articles are there, but this is for me like a kind of a manner in which I would like to make this available forever onto the YouTube for people to read and to enjoy, and to realize that many things that they're still talking about today I have actually addressed, and I'm practicing it at the moment, and I'm seeing the results in the Iqra Islamic Center for Research and Activity, seeing the results and impact on different people, including people that are not Muslim, but they appreciate the truth of what is happening. So then I want to also share with you, what I did was I actually cut all my articles out and then I had it in a file. And then one day I was interviewed by a director of an investment company. He wanted to know, what am I doing, or whatever the case might be. And I had this file with me, and I wanted to get this one article that I wanted to show him, but I couldn't figure it out. Where's that article? I was like looking in between. And then I found it eventually, but it was such a slip, to get the article. Then I decided, what can I do? And I decided to take an old Argus and to paste all my articles in old Argus. So this Argus is like just Muhammad Fadil Arnold. And so I have it ready for anybody who wants to know about the articles that I've written. It's not in the order of the actual dates, but the dates are there, and I'm going to read it just the way it is, because it always applies at any time. After 55 weeks, I asked the editor, please, I don't think I can write anymore because I'm going to repeat myself. Please hand it over to other people. And so I was told, yes, fine, you appreciate it. There are people who've been in the queue who want to write on education, who has written, and we get. But feel free that if you wish to write an article on education, do not hesitate. Write it and send it out to us, and then we'll see if we can publish it. And I was very grateful. There were 2 articles that I wrote, and it was published on the same page at the bottom of the conventional Education Watch articles. Okay, so that's basically what I'm hoping to do for you. But I think it would be just fair to read to you the first article, which was in actual fact published not under the Education Watch feature, but the first one was under the opinion feature. So my basic article that was published, and I think got the attention of the editorial board, etc., was this article which I wrote. It says, book answers international call for new educational model. And I wrote this article, and it was published on the 19th of September 2018, Wednesday, Cape August. And I'm sure that people, the researchers in the future, and people who want to be practical about changing and helping the society can actually benefit from these particular videos. Okay, here's my article. Okay, let me see if I can read it well. Okay. Without the internet and closed borders, governments and business manipulated markets and created educational policies that squashed new children's minds into old markets to serve the bureaucracies who owned 3 factors of production: land, capital, and entrepreneurship, to ensure that they even own the 4th factor of production, which is labor, the modern slavery. And that's the beginning of the article, so it immediately just grabs your attention. The Department of Education even brazenly stated that they own our children's future through accreditation of curriculum, even jailing parents and placing their children in foster care who homeschooled their children. If it wasn't for the Pestalozzi Trust, they would not be free today. The Department of Education thus officially practices child abuse. They can get away with it because of society's belief that prescriptive schooling is the road to the success of their children. Concocted policies, laws and bylaws, and media manipulations ensure state advantages at the expense of human rights. Few of us have the legal muscle to take them on. If there are constitutions that protect human rights, these evil planners simply increase the independent school registration fees and complicate accreditation criteria to prevent parents from opting out of state schools to ensure state cushy jobs. Extremely important point. This is financial oppression of the common people, while the rich are left to manipulate the state machinery, Now, we could write these theses on this kind of evil manipulations and undercurrents, or do what I did, create a new learning paradigm that over a period of 28 years can now declare it's one multi-purpose textbook which serves as the assessment criteria for all subjects, all learners from grade 1 to grade 12, all teachers, principals, and parents. In other words, it's one book which puts everybody on the same page. My book, Holistic Curriculum-Related Reflections, answers the international call for a new education model that is value-based, expansive, resilient, meditative, multidimensional, and holistic. These are the terms that are used in writing articles and theses, and people's thesis and presentations on YouTube, etc. They use these terms, etc., but they haven't yet got a hold of it. And unfortunately, even if one presents it, there's still this fear that will government accept it, etc. So they don't get involved in creative thinking. Right. The book encapsulates the new holistic leisure learning, HLL, paradigm in reflective poetry and prose, covering the core needs of every subject's curriculum, as well as presenting the inherent integrated value of each subject or discipline. Now, that is something missing. The value of a subject is not addressed. It's just curriculum, policies, assessment criteria, all of this kind of stuff. But they haven't been able to look at the value of the subject because they're all looking at what does the law say? Are you with me? What must be covered? What must not be covered? And forgetting the value of the actual subject. HLL's readiness to deal with the crises in education, Holistic Leisure Learning's readiness to deal with the crisis in education and youth unemployment, is so profound that some educationists and religiosity are fearful to give it exposure because it will destroy years of bureaucratic policy writing and monitoring devices that keep the status quo of political, social, economic, and educational exploitation and the mind-blowing financial gains of the rehabilitation industry profitable at the expense of our youth's future. This is a core point I'm making here. It's the refusal to really look at it and really change it is because most of the fraternities make money out of the crises and out of the casualties of our youth. This then proves that drug addiction, crime, and corruption are results of educational manipulation designed to feed the market with the needed cleaners, producers, and managers. Noam Chomsky states that the academia is the gatekeeper of capitalism, and all structures serve the few rich manipulators who through international bodies pull the strings on us, the puppets. The rich break the self-esteem of children, then sell them empowerment books and talks in adulthood to mend the injury they caused. These self-help books and empowerment programs, etc. If you look at these are all old people. Their self-esteem was broken as youth, as young people in the schools, and now they sell, the same people or the same investors sell now empowerment books after they've left their schools, after they're struggling in their business and in their homes, etc., to give them some sort of hope after everything has been broken, and they make money on that as well. Okay, so HLL is hope. Holistic leisure learning is hope. In tabulating the differences between education and holistic learning, things will become clearer. And I've got a table at the top here. Okay, so let me read the table. The table I've got at the top, which is in this particular article. There's the table in the article. Okay, there's the table. I think juxtaposition education with holistic learning. Education is state-driven, and holistic leisure learning is personally driven. In other words, the child drives his education through good guidance. State education, external motivation, and holistic leisure learning is internal motivation. The spirit of the self is stimulated by the holistic methodologist, knows how to tap into the energy, the inner spiritual energy of a person to self-motivate himself or herself. In state education, it breaks the self-worth. In holistic leisure learning, builds the self-worth. State education fractionalizes subjects and devalues the learning exposures. Holistic leisure learning, the holistic template that values multiplicity in unity and vice versa of learning exposure. It has a holistic template that integrates everything through the 7 activities that is in the introduction of this particular first part. The state education increases, or education as it is that we believe is education, increases stress, whereas holistic leisure learning increases relaxation. Now, this is where my PhD has been recognized or looked at or accredited or given credit for, is holistic leisure learning deals with both sides of the hemisphere, the creative side and the analytical side. Whereas, and then because of that, and because it takes away the stress features such as examinations and external assessments, etc., and policies, and so, because it takes away that and increases the quality of the learning, the stress level of the learner drops, and obviously the health increases. And so, on an educational level, you have everything is based on fear, failure in examination, marking, assessment. Everybody is in a state of fear. So when you are fearful, the brain only has a limited capacity of energy. So it will push that energy to the real part of the brain. And so the animalistic part of the brain becomes so stimulated and grown that the reasoning side, which is the frontal lobe, is not being stimulated because the energy is being pushed in terms of fear, fright, flight, freeze, etc. And so everybody in the educational fraternity, including the parents at home, is in a state of stress, and it creates all sorts of illnesses, all sorts of crime, etc., etc. So the essence of the real etiology or the cause of all the kind of abuse is the actual school structure, which is based on fear. Now, let's go further. Okay, so in education is behind for industry, especially artificial intelligence and the global village. Whereas holistic leisure learning is highly innovative, enhances industries through some multi-skilled abilities of holistic personnel. And that is a very important thing when one looks at economic development, which was my particular focus in majoring in economics. I looked at developmental economics. What are the features in economics that actually retard the development of a country, and how can you in actual fact change that? So let me go on. That is basically so. The article then says to appreciate the information above, one must accept that adolescence is not a developmental stage, but a Western cultural construct that foists schooling on citizens. Margaret Mead found that the indigenous societies are free, they are not affected by the Western culture or infiltration, are free from Western conflicts. They are free from Western conflicts because their youth marries early and strengthens the development of the society, because they're integrated with economic upliftment, and they marry early, they're part of the particular adult world, and they develop the particular society in a self-sustainable manner. The next part in the table is Western societies discourage marriage to trap the youth. The holistic leisure learning values the interest of individuals and link it with all the sciences and disciplines to develop a holistic whole person that is appreciative and helpful, not fractured, competitive, not a fractured competitive individual that is ready to exploit, oppress, and bully for selfish gains due to a battered self-worth through militarized education and corporations that still use inappropriate IQ tests to give false mathematical and left lobe brain value to a multidimensional holistic intelligence housed in the whole personality. That is an extremely important point. I can't read it again. You basically just rewind, inshallah. But we'll go on with the article. So Margaret Mead. But holistic leisure learning is hope, and tabulating the differences between education and holistic learning, things will become clearer. So what I've done in this article, yes, I criticize, but I also give a solution. Most of the that you get in international magazines, in the newspapers, in thesis, a enormous amount of critique, no solution. Okay, but that's the structure that has created this kind of infrastructure that actually makes sure that the status quo continues the way it is. Right. So Margaret Mead found that indigenous societies are free from Western conflict because their youth marries early and strengthen the development of their societies. Western societies discourage marriage to trap the youth. The holistic leisure learning values, if you don't give religious and social value to marriage at an early age, in youth, etc., you create a time bomb of oversexed people with all the problems that will come from there. So the societies that marry early after initiation, they marry, and the whole society is functional. The females teach the females how to operate and make sure that that they are self-sustainable. The men are trained how to hunt, etc., and to bring the food, to the community, and they live a happy, healthy life. So, holistic leisure learning values the interest of individuals and links it with all science and disciplines to develop a holistic whole person that is appreciative and helpful, not a fractured competitive individual that is ready to exploit, oppress, and bully for selfish gains due to a battered self-worth through militarized education and corporations that still use inappropriate IQ tests to give false mathematical left lobe brain value to a multidimensional holistic intelligence housed in a whole personality. So there is the article, and this was the first article, and it must have impressed many people, because I was then called in order to write the articles for to write a feature article on Education Watch, which was not yet a feature of the Argus. So then I'm reading the whole article, and so they give then the book. In the article they give the book, that is the holistic integrated text. It's a single textbook for all the ages. And then they give, obviously, because it was the first article, a BA, PhD, HC, Hewitt, UWC, Cape Town campus of Beijing University of Chinese Medicine, incorporated into the UWC Alternative Medicine Department. He's the founder of Islamic Center for Research and Activity, and of the publishing business Ikra Fads, which is film, art, drama, design studios. Arnold has 43 years teaching experience from grade 1 to college level. And his blog is Bull Carb Helper with, at that time, it was 56,000 views internationally and climbing. At the moment, it's like 89,000, nearly at 90,000 views. The Bull Carb Helper is my blog. I'm going to stop at this particular point. It's 30 minutes, and that will be the end of part 1. It's the first article that I published in on the 19th of September in 2018 in the Cape August. And I hope you enjoyed this first 30 minutes. The rest of my part will be just reading the articles as I pasted it in this particular August, which now my August. Okay, it's like creating a kind of a portfolio, and I think it's very accessible and very easy for me to refer to. Thank you very much, people. I hope that you will find value in what I have given you, and you can actually see how the work that I've done with the grace of God is able to answer all these crises that we are facing with at the moment. You have people like psychiatrists and psychologists and all sorts of doctors and educationists discussing why do young people kill people in school? What is the drug problem and the out of wedlock marriages and out of wedlock children that are being born and all sorts of other issues. It all stems from breaking the self-esteem of children into a prescriptive educational institute, removing them from their parents and the ability to actually learn the sense of self-sustainability. You create, and then pushing the marriage backwards, and then you create an absolute time bomb. And so if we don't look at that, we will have we take schooling the way it is as just a given, and we discuss all the problems. We're missing the main point of it. But it will come out as the articles present itself, and it has impacted on many people, and it is believed by the August editorial that these articles must have impressed the South African Qualification Authority over the period of time, that the ICRA course, 4-year course for youth, which is called an Holistic Methodologist in Senior and Beyond Subjects, has been accredited or merited by SACOA as a completed 4-year qualification of South Africa, which allows a learner or a child who has this particular qualifications to apply at any of the tertiary institutes in South Africa. It is a mind-blowing miracle, and it is a point that I would say SACOA, South African Education Authority, has really gone out of the normal paradigm or normals to actually register or recognize a holistic, spiritually based educational model to be a completed South African qualification. I commend them and I thank them for being that particular support for the work that I'm doing, and also for having given me the opportunity to pioneer these particular articles and give exposure to the pioneering work that God has given me the opportunity to do. So I hope that you guys, people out there, will in actual fact to what I'm doing and subscribe and get the other videos as well, and share with people that there is a solution. We don't have to, scratch our heads and look at other things and realize that there is a solution. And the Holistic Leisure Learning and the ICRA Center Institute is actually operating and functional and doing the work that and having the impact on the people that are involved with us in ours. They make changes and paradigm shifts in ours, and their lives are different and better and more holistic, more appreciative of what's happening. And the quality of their work also increases, whether they be in learning, whether they be in managing the home, whether it's managing themselves, whether it is social interaction, etc. It's definitely on a more positive and more holistic level. Thank you very much, people. It's 34 minutes. I'm hoping that you will tune in again onto my channel to watch the next part 2 of this particular series of articles in the August that I am reading from Education Watch. For I think it's about 55 articles. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, and good night or good evening and good afternoon, wherever you may be. Please leave some comments to me, for me. Be open to question. Be open to support what I'm doing. And I hope, inshallah, by the grace of God, that we can communicate on a closer level one day. If you want to email me, my email is mfarnold@gmail.com. There's no spaces in between. It's just mfarnold, like mfarnold @gmail.com. And we can perhaps, communicate on my email. My WhatsApp number is 0833945701. You can also communicate with me on WhatsApp. And obviously, we do entertain the very, open kind of discussion, inshallah. And I hope I will be able to communicate with you more regularly. Please feel free to communicate with me. I will return your messages, or I will respond to what you are asking me to the best of my ability. And I hope our communication will be bringing people together. It doesn't matter from what faith-based or what community or what country, but it's a need for ourselves and for our children that we need to do something positive about changing the paradigm of learning. And in actual fact, as I would say, to transform the education into learning. There's a difference between the two. We will come to that, inshallah, one day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.